It matters. It matters as you heal that you address the pre-triggers. You see, many of us need to learn to live consciously, because when we get to understand ourselves, we'll realize there's so much happening in our bodies, so much happening to us. And as human beings, even when we have done the work, we are going to get into situations where we get ourselves into trouble. Not trouble with other people, but troubles with ourselves. Why? Because we have some things called pre-triggers before we come into situations, before we come into encounters with other people. And it is essential, very, very essential, that you understand your pre-triggers. You understand where you are coming from before you get into situations with other people. You understand your emotional thoughts. You understand what you are thinking. You understand what has happened in your life today, what happened in your life in the last few weeks, or within the last few weeks, what happened in your life that is not resolved, or that happened in the last few years, and what happened in your life a long time ago, maybe when you were young, that you probably still need to process. I'm not saying wake up in the morning and think about all those things, but at least for today, you do need to think about it, how you are feeling and what happened today. What is my mood like before I step out of my house to go and meet other people? What is my mood like before I get out of my car? What is my mood like before I encounter other people? Because understanding your mood in that moment in the day is going to help you when you get into encounters with other people. And this is why you need a self-care habit. This is why when you get up in the morning, it is important that you just don't get up and get out. You need to sit with yourself and be still. Practice gratitude for getting up. Doesn't matter whether you are a prayerful person or not. Gratitude is important because you are up today. And that's all it is. It's a thank you. And then you need to have affirmations, repeat affirmations. Hug yourself like a child you love. And talk to yourself kindly. And do a cathartic shake. Do a little body move just to release the tension so that you wake up a bit more. And if you pray, you pray. That is key. And then you set your intention for the day. It's going to be a good day. When we say it's going to be a good day, we are not saying that things are not going to happen. But we are setting a target for our day so that we've got a goal to reach for today. And if something happens, we need to keep targeting that goal to say, I said I'm going to have a good day, and this is happening. So how do I get back to my good day? It might not be as good as I have promised myself this morning, but it still needs to be a good day in some way. This is what you do. It's about being intentional. That's what you need to do. So that self-care habit is helpful for you to anchor into a sense of peace, even when things happen in your life, because of the three triggers that you carry. And when you do self-care, you improve your emotional baseline. You go into the world there a little bit calmer, with a little bit of a goal, knowing that with a little bit of luck, you are going to make it through the day. So, when then you get into situations, you've had your self-care habit, but maybe you didn't sleep like me. If I don't sleep, I can struggle. I am pre-triggered. I call that pre-triggered, because when I don't sleep, my emotional baseline is off. So then I go into the world and I'm meeting other people, and someone does or says something to me. And like at the moment, it's very hot. It's sunny and very hot. And that sun and a combination of not sleeping can just get my baseline off. Instead of it being 0, which is on the ground, I'm probably at a 3 or even 4, especially with the heat. One day I was probably at a 5. Lack of sleep plus heat. Look, so knowing yourself that already I am off 0, I am 2, 3, 4. That means if you are triggered, your baseline is going to go off higher. So then, with your tools to manage yourself, even when you are triggered, it could go to 6, it could go to 7. But with tools, you are still able to ground. You are not going to be shouting at people, which is something that I don't do. If that happens, if I come across someone who's going to be funny with me, or I feel triggered that someone feels anxious about something that someone is doing because I am at an off baseline, what I do, I keep quiet. Because I can just go off. I know myself. And I don't want to do that. So what I do is I keep quiet. That is a tool that I choose. So you need to have the ability to manage yourself. And then when I've got time, I can process how I'm feeling. And I need to process it and make sure that my baseline is back to normal. And where I can't, I am still not going to bleed on anybody, but I will need to talk it out with the person if it's something which I feel needs to be addressed. Because there are times when things need to be addressed. And that's what I will do. So what I am trying to get at, these are the what happens next scenarios. But what I am driving at is to be aware of your pre-triggers. How are you feeling before you get into situations? Abraham Hicks recommends segment intending. And it's vital and very helpful, especially in times when you are pre-triggered or you are getting into situations or anywhere in life. Because if you segment intend, you are going to get into each situation with intention about how you want things to feel or how you want to feel. And you ground yourself. And you can even do a little cathartic shake before you get into a situation. You can do a self-hug before you get into a situation. You can talk to yourself kindly like a mother or a parent encouraging their child before you get into a situation. Because then you go in prepared and you go in a little bit reassured. And whatever happens in there, in that situation, the impact of the trigger is not going to be as much as it would have been if you hadn't pre-parented yourself. And even if something happens, you are probably likely to be able to respond in a way that's not going to self-destruct or self-sabotage. And even if you are reactive, you can reflect on it at some point and think, I think I went overboard there. Let me take a step back, talk to my inner child, forgive my inner child, and learn from this for next time so that I am not bleeding on other people. This is what is necessary. And this is why pre-triggers are important. But the other very important aspect of pre-triggers is that you are going to need to do inner work so that you address your childhood trauma. Because if you don't address your childhood trauma, if you don't address your previous unresolved situations, you are simply going to have them spilling over in different scenarios. They are going to affect you. You are going to carry them into conversations. You are going to be triggered by situations that are similar to the situation you were in before. It's like, for example, you were in a relationship where someone cheated on you. You didn't maintain boundaries. You probably overstayed. You didn't resolve it, and they continued. When you meet someone else next time, you're going just to think everyone cheats. So work on your pre-triggers.